everyone, I'm Mary Ellen and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things related to the storytelling industry. In case you don't already know me, I write nonfiction books under my real name, Mary Ellen Quigley, and I write romance under my pen name, M.E. Laverne. But my true love has always been reading, which is why I decided to create a combination AuthorTube and BookTube channel. If you have been watching me for a while, the very first question you're asking yourself is, why are you here? Because I had posted on my community tab a while back that I was leaving YouTube because no one was watching my videos and I felt like there was no return to being here. I was just putting all this work into YouTube videos and nobody was watching them. That is true, but the reason I'm back is because I actually really do enjoy making YouTube videos and I wanted to just have author real talk with you and kind of explain what's going on in my life. And my chair is making noise. I swear I'm not farting. I have a messed up chair. Anyway, I wanted to just kind of have real talk with you guys about what has been going on in my life and kind of why I've made some of the decisions I made. So I'm going to be 100% transparent with you guys. We are just now coming up on the 1-year anniversary of my dad's passing. In fact, today is April 11th. So we are shy by like just under a month, right? I was not expecting the amount of depression that came after my dad passed away. I lost my mom in 2011, and that was such a difficult time in my life. I loved my mother. She was an amazing mom. I mean, I have a whole book dedicated to my mother that I will re-release eventually. I was supposed to do it last year, and I didn't get around to it. I apologize for the hands. I talk with my hands, so you're like, stop with the hands. I will try, okay? Losing my mother was hard, and it took me a really long time to recover from losing my mother. When I tell people that losing my dad was vastly different, I think over the last few months, I've had time to really think through and process why it was so different. So, although I love my mother, and my mother was in a lot of ways my best friend, I was always a daddy's girl. I was always daddy's girl. I adored my dad so... I'm going to cry. I'm trying not to. I adored my dad so much. Darn it. He was the person that I loved spending time with. I had such a good childhood, and although my dad worked a lot, he would usually always spend his day off with us, and we were always doing something fun. We would go to the beach, or we would go to the park, or he would make blanket forts in the living room with us. I mean, I just have so many happy memories of my dad. And when I think of like who I was the closest to growing up, I was just always daddy's girl. And even into adulthood, I would go to my dad for advice before I went to my mom. Not because, again, and I'm trying, like, it's not because I didn't love my mother. I adored my mother. But I just always gravitated more towards my dad. And I think the reason that was the case is because he always made me feel safe. And I just always felt like no matter how bad things were, if daddy was there, it was going to be fine. You know, like no matter how bad it was, I knew that if my dad was there, he would help me and everything would just work out. And so him passing, darn it, I'm sitting here crying at the video. Him passing was the first time in my life where I didn't feel safe anymore because he was always my safety net. So I'm going to try to stop crying here and come back and finish. Okay, I think I have it together now. Anyway, so him passing away, it felt like the safety net just got pulled out from under my feet. I had a really hard time just trying to navigate life. When he first passed, I sort of approached it with this like, I'm gonna do everything I want. I'm going after my dreams. And then it suddenly just fell into, I don't know how else to explain it than this deep pit of depression. I really just didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to do anything. I constantly crying. I've gained weight, as you can tell, because I pretty much like locked myself in the 4 walls of my house and ate myself into a food coma. And that's how I spent 8 months after he passed away. It's honestly speaking, the change happened this year. I started seeing the depression kind of lift in January, February of this year. And what has caused the change for me is, you know how Facebook has the memories that come up every year? When I am coming to this same time last year, I'm seeing the memories of my dad. And of course, these are like the last few months of his life. And we knew his health was declining, and the doctor had been telling us for the last 5 years that he had 6 months left, and then he would be there 6 months later. And, so when the doctor came to me last fall and was like, I think his heart's really starting to fail, and I don't think he's got much longer. And I'd be like, yeah, you've been telling us that for 5 years. But I lived with my dad because I took care of him at the end of his life. And looking back at the pictures I have of him from January, February, March, and April, because he died in May, he looked so bad. I mean, he just looked so sick. And I don't think I realized it because I was with him every day, that now I'm looking back at those pictures and I'm like, he just really didn't feel good. He was really suffering towards the end there. And I think that for the first time, kind of seeing it from the perspective of the outside looking in, I was able to see that he was suffering. And that's giving me a little bit of peace in his passing, because I realized that he wasn't really living towards the end. He was existing, I think, because he knew that his kids needed him. He was not well. And it's the first time I've been able to look at his passing as more of a blessing than a punishment or something hurtful, because I realized that he just was hurting. And I can be at peace with the fact that he's not hurting anymore. So long story short, I fell into this deep, deep pit of depression last year. It was one of the most exciting years of my life, but also one of the hardest years of my life, because we had all these good things happening with our podcast, and the fall was so busy for us with the release of me and my sister's very first traditionally published book. We had all this publicity and book fairs and author fairs and interviews and book signings, all the things I've spent my whole life dreaming of doing as an author. And it was all kind of overshadowed by this overwhelming pit of depression. And the only way I can describe it is like walking around, going to the most exciting events with a storm cloud over your head. That's what it felt like. So it was exciting in a sense, but also really hard just to get through the day-to-day of life. Towards the end of the year, once we got past our busy season of promoting, which was pretty much around Thanksgiving, which was around the last time you guys saw me was in NaNoWriMo, I just was kind of I don't care. The holidays were hard for me. It was the first, Christmas was the first holiday that I was by myself. I went and saw my aunt for lunch, but I spent the majority of Christmas by myself. And that was the first time in my entire life that I was alone on a holiday. I honestly threw in the towel on life at the end of the year and just kind of was I don't care about anybody. And then early this year, I started slowly coming out of the fog when I started coming to more of a peaceful realization of my dad's passing. So I am back. I wanted to have a little bit of author real talk because I feel like writing is one of those things that you have to be in the right mental state for. And if you're not, you can't write, And I had all these book ideas and I was trying to push through. I mean, you could look at my last couple NaNoWriMo vlogs where I briefly talk about sitting down and nothing comes to my head because I just could not get past the depression. And I write romance. So it's really hard to write about two people falling in love and living happily ever after when you're depressed because you're no one's happy and we all die. You know what I mean? So I just couldn't write anything. So anyways, I took a step back. I took a step back on a lot of things. I let my health go to crap. I let my house go to crap. I let my finances go to crap. I just kind of threw the towel in on life last year. And I am just now digging out from the mess that I have created in that stint of depression. So I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I enjoy making videos, and even if nobody watches them, I feel like it's good for me to try to document my career as an author as much as possible, even if it's just a video diary for myself. So I am coming back. I don't think I'm going to take on the things like the writing sprints and, the live shows. It's just adding additional pressure to myself, and I'm not going to do that, but I will post videos for you guys. I'm just going to document my journey as an author. So I have a couple of things coming up here in the next couple of weeks that I'm excited about. I'm talking from a pen. Sorry about that. I did not realize I was I talk with my hands. Like, thank God I don't have to work in person. My coworkers would hate me because I'm very handsy. I'm like... Anyway. So, yeah, I have some exciting things that are coming up. I have my very first author fair under my pen name, which I'm extremely nervous about. So, wish me luck. And my sister and I are setting up at the Haunted America conference, and we actually got invited to speak at another conference in October about our podcast and our book. And so there's some more exciting things that are coming up, and so I'm going to try to document them. I think that I am, just going to use this as a way to kind of diary what I'm going through in my author world, and I hope you guys enjoy it and you come along for the ride. And if you don't, that's okay too. So thank you to those of you who are still here. If you are new to my channel, I would love if you subscribed, if you want to come hang out with me and go through author learning together, or give me a thumbs up to let me know you liked my video. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the rest of 2024 brings. So, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.